Hey, what's up? As requested, I'm going to be responding to the video called Is Being Fat a Choice? Fit Man versus Fat Man.
Do you think just being in a fat body and being in the public space encourages obesity?
Yes.
Shame is what led me to an eating disorder.
Whose
when
fault is that,
what
though?
we're looking for is
Whose fault is that?
stability.
That's your fault.
It's
See, the
an
problem is that you're a
amalgamation.
professional victim.
Would you agree, like, looking at his physique, like, he's at a perfectly, I would say, maybe healthy?
No.
You think?
He's definitely overweight, definitely obese.
That is actually very funny because these bodybuilders don't realize what the definition of obese and overweight is. Let's look it up. This is from a dictionary. Firstly, what does obesity really mean? Obesity is the condition of being more overweight than is considered average or healthy, as in you have way too much weight, which is beyond your natural weight. These bodybuilders would say that the other guys are obese or overweight, which we will get to in a second, because they have too much fat, but it doesn't state anywhere in the definition of the word that you need to have too much fat. It's only about having too much weight. And Greg Doucette is most definitely overweight. Maybe not obese. If your BMI is 30 plus, then you're most definitely obese. And the definition of overweight is weighing too much or more than is considered normal. Normal really just means natural again. If you're beyond your natural weight, then you are overweight. It absolutely doesn't matter if you have too much muscle or fat. It's just that most people consider people who have too much fat as overweight or obese simply because that's the kind of overweight people we used to see for the most part over the last decades. But in the last 2 decades, especially in the last decade, we see a lot of overweight people because they have too much muscle, especially the ones who use steroids. They are overweight and obese by every definition of the word. And these bodybuilders really don't realize that they are overweight and obese themselves, which is really ironic. It's very important to understand that carrying around too much mass, which is beyond your natural weight, whether it's fat or muscle, is too much for your body, especially your heart. It's not going to be able to take it, which is why people who are obese in general, whether it's fat or muscle, die pretty young compared to people who live naturally. That guy before is for sure obese, the one with way too much muscle. It's abnormal, unnatural. He's obese the same way this guy is. They both have way too much weight on their bodies.
Our first prompt is, I have felt disgusted looking at a fat body. Can our agreeers please step forward? Whoever's going to start off.
Well, it's unacceptable to be fat.
Okay, that's a great start. I mean, I know why you say that, but it's one of those things where, do you know why you're saying that?
Yes, because I've been fat before and I lost the weight.
Well, me too. I've been fat my whole life. I've been way skinnier than I am now, and I've been way heavier than I am now. Was I less valuable at one point in there?
That guy doesn't even look really overweight. A little bit, but he's definitely not obese or anything.
Well, I mean, you can make an argument that you're less valuable when you're fatter because you drain resources, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I mean, in general, being fat is unacceptable because you control every single morsel of food that goes into your mouth.
Okay.
It shows a lack of discipline, it shows a lack of care.
No, I don't agree. It depends on how much you believe in free will or free choice, but a human being who grows up on grains, sugar, cookies, pasta, bread is not going to be able to control himself, so to speak, the same way somebody who doesn't grow up on that garbage will. If somebody grows up eating raw meat, organs, fat, and so on, then that's all that they will want. Whereas somebody who has no idea what that is cannot possibly crave anything else, seeing as their bodies haven't had the taste of any natural food, which is why they will keep going back to the garbage. What he also doesn't understand biochemically is that when you eat junk food, for example, then you store all of those chemicals in the body, and once you lose any kind of weight, it's released in the bloodstream, and then you have this addiction again. It's as if you can't get rid of this addiction, and once you have it in your blood, you need to start eating cookies and chips again. Can you say that these people really have a choice in it? It's really hard to say that. It's not that simple.
Character shows a lack of temperance, and when you're fat, it's an outward manifestation of your inadequacies.
When I see somebody who's 500 or 600 pounds, all I can think of is, why do they care so little about their health that they can do this, allow themselves to gain that much weight, knowing it's taken
It's not that simple. A lot of people have depression, trauma, they give up on their lives. You can't simply say that you're not motivated enough or whatever to lose weight.
20, 30, 40 years off their life. I just can't imagine not.
That's funny, man, coming from Greg Doucette, who's on drugs, which reduces your lifespan most definitely more than having too much fat. Greg is going to die sooner than any of these other people. Bodybuilding and using steroids, being a junkie, an actual drug addict, is way unhealthier than eating too much food. Way unhealthier. It's not even comparable. And he talks about longevity, even though he's promoting one of the unhealthiest, if not the unhealthiest lifestyle that we have today.
Not wanting to live that badly.
I understand that. No, it's I've definitely felt disgusted looking at my own body and looking at other fat bodies in my life. A lot of the disgust I felt looking at people was me feeling disgusted with myself and then projecting that feeling onto other people. And I don't think anyone on either side.
People, especially women, also feel disgusted when they look at bodybuilders. And that's simply because it's an unnatural body. Again, you're looking at an overweight or obese body, which is way beyond the weight which you're supposed to have. And whether it's fat or muscle, it looks very, at the very least, unappealing to women. I talk about women because it's only men there, and they most definitely want to be attractive to somebody. It's how it always is, it's human nature.
Unfortunately, some people have emotional stuff that happened, traumatic stuff that's happened.
That's exactly what I meant.
So you can't discount and just say,
Boo-hoo,
oh, because
man.
they're fat.
Boo-hoo, man. Like, there's way worse stuff going out in the world versus
Absolutely.
people saying, oh my God, I'm sad, I'm gonna eat some
Him saying boo-hoo with the fake white teeth, disgusting guy.
ice cream. It's like, no, dude, it's like, you're fat, you made that decision, you live in the best country ever. If you live in a civilized first world country where you have electricity, internet power, etc., you deserve to be.
Wow, this guy is severely removed from reality. Jesus, where does he live? In a different dimension?
People, it's ridiculous to me that we have all these fat people running around. Meanwhile, people are being bombed in Gaza. It's ridiculous. We are so privileged here in the United States and in the West in general. When I see a fat person, I'm like, wow, you got the gift of life. You got the gift of being in a developed country, and you're a fat POS talking about body positivity on TikTok. What the hell is
But
going
now
on
you're
here?
segmenting though, because not everyone thinks like that.
No, we need to bring shaming back.
Okay.
We need to bring shaming back in so many other regards besides obesity. We need to do it with sluts.
What we need to bring is bodybuilding shaming, body destruction shaming, if anything. Because these guys on the left side, not him specifically, the fresh fit guy, he doesn't look like he works out, or if he does, then very little, but Greg Doucette and the other guy who's definitely on drugs. If anything, if there should be any shaming, it should be the shaming of junkies. It should be them. Why does the left side talk as if we should shame people who eat too much food? Yes, it's a problem, but being on drugs and destroying your body, reducing your lifespan by decades is way worse than that. Why do they feel like they should lecture the other side when, if anything, it's the other way around?
We need to shame fat people. We need to shame everybody when they fuck up. Because shame has been one of the strongest defenses against degeneracy and human fuck-ups.
He's not exactly wrong about that. You should naturally express yourself. That's all cool. But he doesn't realize that he should, if anything, be shaming the guy to the right of him, Greg Doucette.
I'm naturally skinny.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, I'm going to get fat as an experiment.
Yeah.
Did it. And then I was like, all right, now I'm going to lose the weight. And then all I did was just track my calories, ate the same food every single day.
Yeah.
Went to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and everything was controlled, and it got done. Was it monotonous? Of course. Was it boring?
No,
Of
yeah,
course.
I agree with you there. I am naturally this way. This is with working out 4 or 5 times
That's
a week.
not true.
It's
No,
100%
you
true,
can't.
bro.
Nah, bro.
No,
Come to the gym with me. This is me.
It doesn't really make sense to say that you're naturally like that. You can say that you have big bones and all of that, but you can't say that you naturally have too much fat on your body. He has a little bit too much fat. Like I said, he doesn't look abnormal or anything, maybe very little, but still you can't say that he exactly has a natural body, because if you eat naturally, which is what defines how you look like, and that is raw meat, what we eat in nature as humans, then of course you're not gonna look like that. It's not even possible to be overweight or obese, so to speak, when you eat naturally and live naturally. Then you simply look natural. Look at any humans who live in nature. They have relatively lean bodies, some muscle, good bones, everything, the way you're naturally supposed to be. They do not have these steroid bodies, and they also don't have this much fat. This is when you eat a lot of junk food and processed carbohydrates usually. It's when you're micronutrient deficient and you overeat on food. You most certainly can't say that it comes naturally. Both of the sides can't say that they look natural or normal.
Not natural at all, because at the end of the day, if you don't lose weight, by definition, you're not in a calorie deficit. If you're not in a calorie deficit, then you're gonna either maintain or gain weight. And that's the problem, is that people don't track their calories.
And that's true, but people burn at their resting metabolic rate a different set of calories.
Doesn't matter.
Let's not get too granular right now. It's going to be one of those episodes, right? Let's bring in the disagreeers and hear from them.
Okay, so the reason I disagreed, especially
The guy looks completely abnormal. If anything, he should be shamed for destroying his body so much. I wonder what his name is. I would like to look up how old he is. Alright, I looked up his age. He's supposedly 32, younger than me. Definitely looks way older than me. He has a beard, but still, the condition of his skin is simply not good. But that's what happens when you're on drugs, when you destroy your body.
and I think there's plenty of people that look at me and say, that's disgusting, I never want to look like that. So like, I know what it
Oh, okay. He's conscious of that. That's good.
I would never look at someone and say like, you're disgusting.
But is it any different than if you see somebody who's extremely anorexic, they're 50 pounds, you look at them, you're in shock? Oh my God, like something happens in your body you can't control. You can't stop that. Like how can you not? No, I don't hate them. It's just, wow, oh my God, it's like, it's disgusting. Like, holy goodness
But
gracious.
why
That's a
would
shock
you use
factor,
the
though.
word
That's
disgusting,
not
right?
disgusting.
So you just mentioned the polar opposite of what we are, right? But why would you look at them and be disgusted versus concerned? That is a very specific word.
This is nonsense. Let's look up the actual definition of disgusted. Feeling extreme dislike or disapproval of something. It's just disapproval. If you see somebody who's severely underweight or overweight and you disapprove of it, then you feel disgusted by it by definition. I think that the word disgusting may mean something else to those guys. They don't really understand what it means. There's nothing wrong with feeling disgusted by something because it happens naturally. When we look at a natural body, we don't feel disgusted by it. But when it's extremely abnormal, then we disapprove of it naturally because we may be concerned about their health. It's really the same thing. He says that you should be using the word concerned, but really disgusted essentially just means that you're really concerned about somebody.
And it has very specific connotations behind it. And when it's used, it's somewhat weaponized as well.
I don't think we can help how we feel. I don't think I can choose like, oh, I just am.
Greg is right about that. You just naturally feel the way you feel. Some people choose not to express themselves out of respect, which I would say is actually disrespect when you're so dishonest towards somebody, and they simply keep it inside of themselves. But you're not doing anybody a favor when you actually do that.
Not. It would be sitting here and lying. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm always going to be honest with people.
That's very good. Greg is a very hard guy to watch. I've reviewed some of his videos, but he's saying the truth here.
I'm disgusted. This is just how I feel.
The thing is, when you see a fat person, the reason why it's disgusting and the reason why there's so much pushback on this whole body positivity and people make fun of Lizzo, rightfully so by the way, is because it's unattractive, it's unhealthy. Until we had this woke era, they used to put like models and attractive people on the cover of magazines that were in shape. Why? So that people can aspire to look like that. And it's healthy and it looks better in general. You look good, feel good. But when you're fat, it says a lot about you. People are going to sit there and be like, let me see if he's a good person. No, they're just going to assume that you're lazy, which you are by the way when you're fat, and you don't have discipline, which you are by the way. So they're just going to assume off of what they see. That's the world they live in.
I love how you stated a shit ton of assumptions. You didn't state no.
The guy is really unbearable to listen to from Fresh and Fit. This video is over 1 hour long. I'm gonna skip ahead and we'll see if there's anything else interesting.
I have abused my body. Will the agreeers step forward?
I'll start by saying I've abused my body many times. Being a bodybuilder, a professional bodybuilder, I've abused steroids, did that for over 10 years. I don't think you can get to...
Interesting. It's as if he's almost conscious of what he's doing to himself. Bodybuilding is body destruction. It has nothing to do with building, seeing as you're not building anything, you're only destroying your body. And it is abuse towards your body, absolutely.
The level that you have to get to be at to be a professional bodybuilder while being natural. And so absolutely. And I would say that somebody trying to abuse steroids to get that muscle, to get that look is just as unhealthy as somebody who's obese. So I don't try to be a...
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's more unhealthy, but still, it's nice to see him admit that.
Hypocrite. I say I've done these poor choices. I'm 48 now. I don't do steroids anymore. And so I recognize that what I did in the past was bad, probably took years off my life. And so I would say to people who are...
Oh, wow. Wow, he actually understands all of that. He doesn't understand that he's still doing that. He doesn't understand that all stress ages you and reduces your lifespan. Any kind of bodybuilding exercise is going to do that.
Wait, why don't you do the same thing? And if you're not, then do you really care about your health? Because if you do, you would stop doing the things that are leading to being morbidly obese.
But then to your own argument, you spent 10 years doing something you knew was inherently unhealthy.
Correct.
But then you're going to turn around and tell people that they should just wake up. But
Yes, exactly. Like people should have told me, Greg, why do you keep doing this to yourself? You do not recognize what's going to happen. And if we call it shaming, why are you abusing steroids, Greg? Think of it. Think of the years you're taking off your life, maybe out of weight.
But the power was in your own awakening, right? The power.
It's nice to hear him say that the only problem with these bodybuilders is that they don't realize that bodybuilding in general, whether you use drugs or not, is going to take years of your life. Less, of course, drugs are worse, but still, it's extreme stress for the body.
I think I'm one of those 1 in a million cases that was able to do what I do and actually got the success that I got. But if I look back and I'm really honest with myself, I regret doing these things. I was natural world champion and I was breaking world records natural, so I had the records, but I wanted more. I wanted more glory. I wanted more people to say, you're cool, we like you. And so I ended up taking steroids. I did that because...
This is very important. This is exactly what I talk about in all of my videos about bodybuilding. People who do bodybuilding, especially the ones who use drugs, need this attention. They have some kind of trauma, whatever kind of issues, which is why they need this attention. A normal, happy and healthy human being doesn't need attention from other people, especially from random people. Sure, you want attention and love from your family, but they don't need to especially go online or on TV to get all of this attention because they lack something. If you get enough love as a child, then you don't need love later on from random people, which isn't even actually love, of course, but this fake kind of attention, which is the only thing that you can get. And of course, because it's fake, you need more and more of it, and it never stops. I'm actually pleasantly surprised here about what Greg is saying.
Because I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be sponsored. I wanted a pro card. I wanted to be famous. And it worked. At what cost, though? How healthy am I really?
Everything it is that you...
Yes, at the end of the day, no matter how much attention you get from people, you're going to get older. Do you want to be alone, without a family, unhealthy, infertile, which will be the case for a lot of bodybuilders, especially women who do bodybuilding. Once they are 50, 60 years old, nobody wants to be together with them. They sit alone with their cats and dogs. And that is being alone. Cats and dogs won't give you anything compared to humans, compared to your actual children, offspring. Will you be happy? Of course not. You will be insanely miserable. It's terrible.
I was rewarded. When I started getting popular on social media, I was talking about my steroid cycles. I was talking about what I've done. And they're like, look at your muscles, look at your chest. And it was like, do you know how hard it was to stop? Because I was being rewarded with dopamine, with people saying nice things about me all the time. And for me to stop...
This is exactly the problem with the internet and social media, because seeing as most people are miserable, they want everybody else to be miserable. And when you're in the bodybuilding community, you get rewarded for looking unnatural, abnormal, and for destroying your body. Especially if you use steroids, men will say that they want to be like you and blah, blah, blah. None of the women will, of course, say that, none of them will say that they want to be together with you, but you will get a lot of attention from these miserable men. And that's important to understand. You won't get any good attention from men who are happy and healthy, they won't even care about you because they will be busy spending time with their children. But the miserable men who are short or ugly will be all over you, giving you this attention. And then, of course, it's hard to get out of it.
I know that my views on social media go down. If I went on a steroid cycle right now, people are going to fall, wow, Coach Greg, you're back. We miss the old Coach Greg. And so it's hard for me to be the 48-year-old old man that's still preaching fitness when they say we love the old Coach Greg, the jacked muscle freak. And I have to fight the urges not to use steroids every single day because I know I would look better. I know I would feel better. But I'm like, it's not healthy. And so I have...
But you wouldn't look better. How can you do something that's unhealthy, but at the same time believe that it's going to make you look better? Come on, it doesn't even make any sense. Realistically, if something is unhealthy, it can only make you look worse by default, which is why naturally you need to think about this. Only something that's healthy can actually make you look good and healthy, attractive, right? It's just pure logic.
To say no.
I get what you mean about the dopamine reward thing, because for me, I have a similar situation, but kind of in the opposite way. Every time I start slimming down, I start getting the, what are you doing? Why are you losing weight? Because I am in that large guy space. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's very funny how much on both sides, outward opinions just like really just make what we do hard.
What we saw here are men dealing with their own problems. The men on the right side are overweight because of too much fat, and that may be because of trauma, some kind of problems, maybe none of that, I don't know their stories, but they are most definitely not at their natural weight. And it's not possible to be overweight, as I said, if you eat naturally and generally live naturally. It's simply biologically not possible. It's also biologically not possible to look like Greg Doucette and the yellow tank top guy, Eric. The Asian and the other guy looked a bit more normal, although you can still see that they work out. The guys on the left are most definitely dealing with their own problems, and Greg Doucette is of course very short, as most of you probably know. I don't know about the other guy, he's obviously not handsome or anything. The Asian has very short arms and generally a very short body. I don't know about the fresh fit guy, why he works out or anything. Maybe he feels like he can impress women with his body because obviously facially I'm not going to say anything. The bottom line is that you won't see handsome and tall men sitting on those chairs because on one side you won't see them going to the gym every day and especially using steroids, and that's because they won't feel like they need to compensate, and they also won't feel like they need to overeat or binge on food, which the guys may not be doing. As I said, I don't know their stories on the right side, but they won't have any of these issues. They will be able to literally, naturally, with their looks, attract women, and women also can attract men with their natural bodies. They don't need to go to the gym or anything. If somebody doesn't have any of these problems, then they have no issues attracting the other gender, and all that men and women want at the end of the day is to procreate and to create a family. My point is that there's problems on both sides, but thankfully there's a fix for them, and that is nature. Thanks for watching.